with President Biden and some congressional members have done visits down here in the last couple of weeks. If you could say, have a meeting with them, would you, maybe you have already, what would you say to them? I need this.
Yeah, one, we need to make sure that we have some consequences in place, and then we have to improve the process. We have to make sure that if you certainly are entitled to some sort of immigration benefit, that there's a pathway and there's a legal way to actually claim whether it's credible fear or some sort of asylum. And then secondly, we have to make sure that the men and women have the resources that they need out there. We've talked about defunding the police all year long. Border Patrol needs more manpower out here. We need to make sure that we have the technology to be able to address these areas that are wide open. And so those are the kinds of suggestions and recommendations I'm going to continue to make to the leadership within both the department and the administration.
Last question, sir. There have been some pretty startling images coming out of coyotes, runners dropping children, over the 14-foot wall. I'm sure you saw that yesterday near El Paso. There was a woman who had her legs broken by the smugglers, and her child was thrown into the water. There was I believe a Texas state trooper was able to rescue that child. I believe, but there seems to be a lot of desperation and a lot of crazy things happening. Is that this isn't normal, right?
Well, certainly the coyotes and the smugglers treat the population, the migrant population, as a commodity. So they really have no regard for their safety or their well-being. But I will tell you that we perform more rescues. We get out to respond to these events as quickly as we possibly can. And it's not just the Border Patrol. You've got our sheriffs, our police departments, our state troopers, our National Guardsmen. They're all out here on the front lines with us. So this is a whole of government approach right now, and we need to continue these efforts. But we certainly need to make sure Mexico continues to do their part. They've done an excellent job in some areas, but we need to be able to share information and make sure we take the fight to these cartels.
Is Mexico doing their part?
They're continuing. We meet with them regularly, and we have asked that they continue to improve their southern border as well as some of their efforts in South Texas here.
What's your professional assessment with the conditions on the ground at the border right now?
So I've been able to, travel from Rio Grande Valley through Laredo into Del Rio, and I can tell you that, what I've seen so far is, just a level of professionalism by the Border Patrol and DHS to address the populations that are coming across the river. I can tell you that we do have some overcrowded conditions. This morning when I looked at our numbers, we had over 9,000 people in custody. And so we need to continue to ensure that HHS that we're able to transfer these kids over to their custody as quickly as we possibly can. And we're working to help them improve their capacity and their throughput.
Based on your experience, is this surge any different than any other surge that's happened in years past?
I think the big difference between this surge and previous surge is certainly COVID. In previous, increases and flow of traffic along the southwest border, we saw in 2014 it was unaccompanied children, 2019 it was family units, 2021 it's a mixture of family units and kids, but we're also seeing these populations from some of these other countries in much higher numbers than we've seen in the past. And then COVID has certainly reduced our ability to hold people in custody safely, not just for them, but certainly for our officers.
And we're standing just a few hundred yards from where a 9-year-old Guatemalan child drowned in the river, despite the valiant efforts of the Border Patrol agents and the boat patrol that tried to save that child's life. How concerned are you with the summer months coming that we may see more of that, unfortunately?
Certainly very concerned. We're 2 months away from hurricane season here in South Texas. I'm also concerned about the inclement weather that not just the migrant population is going to encounter and they're not prepared for, and that those dangers that the smugglers are going to leave them in. But I'm also worried about our workforce and our agents, and I want to make sure that they are prepared to address these issues. When we talk about COVID, we had over 12,000 employees that were affected by COVID, either by an exposure or they actually had COVID. We have on any given day between 100 and 150 employees in a quarantine status. And so it has really taken a toll on us in our physical health, but it's also going to take a toll on some of these migrants that are crossing from Central America and through Mexico, because some of them may not even know that they have COVID. And so when they're trying to make this dangerous trek and they're out there in the middle of nowhere, getting resources, emergency personnel to them is going to be awfully important. And when I have 30 or 40% of my workforce tied up processing and transporting, I'm going to have to ensure that the agent's going to get out there as quickly as they possibly can.
So you said you were traveling around different stations between here and the valley. What was your message to the troops?
So it's a couple of things. One, that they have to stay focused on our border security mission. It isn't just a low threat environment, but we also have these criminal organizations that are taking advantage of this situation. We've seen multiple times where these smuggling organizations are trafficking large groups of 100, 200, even upwards of 600 people at one time. And that is a logistical draw on our manpower. And then when that happens, that certainly means that they're either going to try and push some sort of narcotics or some sort of special interest alien through the border area. And so we have to stay focused and disciplined. And two, I want to make sure that I am able to provide them with the resources that they need. And so we're getting processing coordinators, we're bringing more technology to the border, and we're certainly trying to make sure that we have adequate staffing to cover in between the ports of entry.
Thank you for your time, Chief.
Thank you.